this one's tough and I don't even like hearing it, but wisdom and discipline are nearly one and the same. We have to experience pain in order to grow in wisdom. We have to, frankly, screw up, get yelled at by our friends, have someone at work scold us for making a mistake, do something wrong and have to fix what comes after. We have to have pain in order to grow in wisdom. Now, this doesn't mean that we should go out seeking pain. We can't find the hard things that are going to cause us pain and lean into those. It's not right. It's not good to force ourselves into bad situations in order to help us grow. That wouldn't do. Because, I mean, the from the moral side of that, it's not right to put yourself in a bad situation on purpose. Causing bad things to happen to yourself with a purpose of growing seems like you're just missing the opportunity to grow from what is already a bad situation. And so maybe that's an opportunity to look back instead of trying to find a bad thing to happen. So that's not the right way to approach it. But whenever you're trying to grow in discernment, what I think that looks like is when bad things do happen to you, being willing to look it in the face, accept it for what it is, and in a sense, appreciate it as quickly as possible. And that might be in hindsight. That might be 10 years after it happens. But if it could be 10 hours or 10 days or even 10 weeks or months, that's probably pretty good. And so shortening that gap is probably wise. Hence the growth in wisdom. But you don't just become disciplined overnight. You don't just, you can receive discipline for an action pretty quickly, but understanding that and growing because of it is the process. That is the wisdom. And hence, they're nearly the same. They're very similar at the very least. And so, as much as we want to try to learn from other people's mistakes, there's only so much we can do before life just smacks you across the cheek and says, you got to figure this one out yourself, bud. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what today was about. And I don't like hearing that. I think I'm pretty good at learning from other people's mistakes, but you have to experience those things in order to truly understand what it means. And I think the best parallel I've ever heard is fatherhood. A lot of my friends are getting pregnant and having babies, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm excited for that myself. You can conceptually understand what it feels like to have a baby that is 50% you in a way, but I don't think you can actually know that until you have it. I think that's the key, and that's why discipline is wisdom. And so I think the question that we have to ask ourselves, kind of similar to yesterday, where do we have to grow in wisdom? Like, what areas can we grow? I think it's, where can we grow in discipline? What areas are we allowing ourselves to slack off or, truly, frankly, be lazy? And if we can improve those areas in our lives, I think it plays right into that aspect of growing in wisdom. Because if you're actively trying to grow in discipline, I think those hard situations that we shouldn't force on ourselves, but should grasp and take hold of, I think whenever you're growing in discipline and actively trying to grow in discipline, those things will happen to you. Because whenever you try to grow in discipline, which is a thing I'm trying to do right now, what I believe that does to you, and what I'm seeing in small ways start to happen to me, is the decision to stay disciplined gets harder, and the impulse to go back on that discipline gets stronger. And so as you continue to push back and push through and achieve that discipline that you're trying to get, where you're trying to take that discipline and turn it into a devotion, you grow in your wisdom as you continue to do that. And my expectation is, at some point, the discipline becomes devotion and it changes. The way you make the decision to do the thing changes. Maybe it's not easier, but maybe the amount of effort it takes to start is less. I'm not sure. I'm not there yet. But that's my expectation. And so as I grow in this journey, in this, very, very thinly veiled autobiography, to take the words of Chris Williamson, I'm kind of excited to see if I'm right about this or if I'm wrong about this, and to use this kind of moment to exercise discernment, perhaps in hindsight, of, was I right? Was I wrong? And how can I use this to grow?